Hey guys, Jonathan. It's been a while since I talked to you. I've been pretty busy, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But first, I want to tell you about Doug and Kelly. Doug and Kelly both had 2 children from previous relationships. They fell in love and they decided to get married, so they blended their family. Now, Doug and Kelly fell into a very dangerous, destructive pattern very quickly in their relationship. And I've seen this pattern happen with a lot of different types of families. But blended families are especially susceptible to this happening. See, Doug and Kelly never sat down and talked about how they wanted to parent their kids together. Instead, they had this approach of, you parent your kids and I'll leave you guys alone, I'll parent my kids and you leave us alone, and we'll do it like that. The problem with that arrangement is it doesn't work well. I mean, there's 2 adults in the home. There is going to be a time when one of them has to parent the other kids. There's going to be a situation that they have to handle. But what happened with Doug and Kelly is they really wanted to respect that arrangement. They didn't want to step on each other's toes. So when their spouse's kid was doing something or not doing something they needed to, they tried to find other ways of motivating them. And one of the ways was they would give them lots of warnings and suggestions. So it was kind of like this. I think your father wants you to be doing your homework right now. Don't you think you need to be doing your homework? Shouldn't you be doing your homework now? Hey, I really think you need to do your homework before something bad happens. They would give lots of warnings, lots of suggestions. Now, the reason that doesn't work, it seems easy, and at first kids will respond, but eventually they know they don't have to. They know that there is no consequence, there's no enforcement of that. So they become very tolerant of those warnings, and they just keep on doing what they want to do. Well, after that didn't work for Doug and Kelly, then they started thinking, well, maybe if I make a deal with them, maybe if I bribe them, I don't have to force them, I'll just give them a sweet deal. So that's where they say, hey, why don't you go do your homework, and when you're done with your homework, I'll take you to the mall. Or, hey, I'll make you some cookies if you do that homework. They started making deals, they started making bribes. The problem with doing that with kids is it works at first, but the effect wears off. Pretty soon, they want more and more and more. So you have to have a bigger bribe, you have to make the deal a little bit sweeter. And I have literally seen kids, when that is the primary way of parenting, deals and bribes, where, you know, the parents say, hey, I need you to cut the grass. And they'll hold out their hand and say, how much are you going to pay me? You know, they always want something because the bribe, the reward, the deal becomes the motivation, not the fact that they need to do something that they're supposed to do. So eventually that wasn't working, and then it created another problem. See, Doug and Kelly's own children saw the double standard. They saw how their step-siblings weren't being held responsible. They were getting all these bribes, all these deals, and of course they said, that's not fair. So now there was conflict with their own children. And pretty soon they got tired of that. They got tired of just having to deal with the arguing and the complaining with their kids and the other kids. And they said, you know what, it'd just be easier if I did it myself. I want them to go get their laundry. I want them to clean their room, but oh, it's just too much to deal with. I'm just going to do it myself. Now, the problem with doing that is, yes, it's easier, but your kids aren't using responsibility, and they take advantage of you, and then you start to get resentful. And that's exactly what happened to Doug and Kelly. They started getting very resentful. They're like, why are we going around doing everything in this house while our kids are on their phones, playing Xbox, eating ice cream, not doing a darn thing? So they would get pretty resentful, pretty angry, and then they would show emotion, and they would use emotion to parent their kids, to get their kids to do what they want, which is tempting because it works, but it has a consequence to it. So they each did it in a different way. Kelly, she went with more guilt and shame. After everything I've done for you, I've been working so hard, I've done this so many times, you don't care about what I do, what's wrong with you, why won't you help me out? Pour all that guilt on them to get them to do it. Doug went the other way. He would come with anger, like, I'm sick and tired of you doing this, you're going to do it now. And he would threaten, he would scream, he would scare them into doing it. And that worked at first for both of them. The problem is when you use emotion to parent your kids, One, they get used to it. They just get used to you yelling or guilting them, and then you have to put on more and more shame, more and more anger, more and more fear, until you really have to kind of go to a dark place as a parent to get your kids to do what they want. And then, of course, Doug and Kelly felt bad for manipulating emotionally their kids and raging on them and doing that kind of thing. So they would apologize, they would go back to what they were doing before, and the whole cycle would continue. But let me tell you what that was like for their kids. Their kids were in kid heaven at first. I mean, think about it. Your parent is not going to make you do stuff. They're going to bribe you. They're going to give you deals. You get to sit around and kind of get to do whatever you want and not be held personally responsible. What kid would not like that? But there was a secondary effect that was tearing the whole family apart. First of all, those kids had a lot of conflict between their siblings. The level of arguing and fighting was skyrocketing between the kids. There wasn't much structure. There was so much tension between them, and it was becoming very unhealthy among all the siblings and step-siblings. Secondly, there was a whole bunch of conflict between the kids and their parents. All that resentment, all that arguing. The whole home was becoming very unsafe, just full of conflict. When a home becomes very unsafe, you don't know what's next. You don't know, is this going to be another argument? Is this going to be another fight? Am I in trouble? It just feels really bad. And it kind of sets off a panic button in our brains. We just start becoming very guarded, very defensive, ready to fight, ready to retreat, you know? It's not a very loving home. And even though those kids were getting what they wanted, life, especially home life, just started feeling really horrible. And the worst part of it is the foundation of the family, Doug and Kelly, they were arguing and in conflict with each other now. And the very marriage was being threatened. And they were starting to question, did I make another mistake? Is this going to be another divorce? It was a very, very bad situation. And of course, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but a lot of it has to do with taking the easy way. And that's what I'm talking to you about how tempting it is to take the easy way, but we don't want to do it. And they were doing it on many different levels. In their marriage, it was easier to come up with that really quick arrangement rather than talk through all the details, all the hard situations. How are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle that? But that easy way was causing so much trouble. And then with their kids, I'll define the easy way for you right now. It's not doing what our kids need, and in that moment, doing whatever is going to get the quickest response. Get our kids to stop doing something or to do something we want them to do. But it always causes trouble in the future. It just delays it. And then it just puts it off into the future. I want you to think about something here. What are the easy ways that you're taking with your kids? And they're tempting. We all do them. I do them. Every parent has done it. A few times, it's not that big of a deal, but the pattern is what we want to avoid. Where are you giving them endless reminders, constant warnings, second, third, fourth, fifth chances? Are you bribing them? Are you giving them deals? Are you doing threats and promises? Are you using emotion, anger, guilt, shame, fear to get them to do what you want? All those are so tempting because they work at first. They're the easy way, but they become the problem and the hard way in the future. So I want to encourage you with that to pay attention and to shift that around. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I haven't put out many videos recently is I've been busy making a course. And this course is an online video course to help parents out, especially parents who have kids that are being challenging, who are being immature, who are very overreactive. It's a really tough situation, and I work with those parents all the time. I know how discouraging that is. So I've been working on a course, and I'm going to let you guys know how that's going, because one of the things I just told you about is in that course, about not taking the easy way and then getting into all the ways that work, all the ways that are very effective, kind of step by step, to help our children to get results and turn things around in our family. So hey, that was a long video. Thank you for listening to the end. There is more stuff on the way. Hey, like always, I'm here to help you out. Don't give up. Your family needs it.